It's my pleasure to introduce Anne Golden. Distinguished Toastmaster Anne Golden joined Toastmasters in 2015, achieving several awards for her successful leadership and devotion to helping other Toastmasters in District 38. She has served District 38 leadership as the Division Director, Area Director, Administration Manager, and Officer Training Coordinator. She was previously Toastmaster of the Year and received the Superhero Award for her service to District 38. Anne has held every club officer position, serving various clubs in different districts. She is currently the District 38 Speechcraft Coordinator, Masterclass Coordinator, and District 83 Club Extension Chair. Anne is dedicated to fostering relationships and sharing her knowledge and experiences to help others learn different strategies for success. Thus, the Speechcraft Coordinator webinars were developed to share the in-depth knowledge gained from her learning experience as a Speechcraft Coordinator for the Aura Lee Cancer Research Foundation. Welcome, Anne Golden.
Thank you. Thank you, Sue Brooks. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. Before we begin, I want you to know that the focus of this webinar is going to be on what it takes for the coordinator to invest in doing a Speechcraft program before you purchase the bundle. So be prepared to take lots of notes. There will be lots of information. What I do not go into detail about is the marketing aspect of it. That's another presentation in itself. And Cheryl Roush, DTM accredited speaker, does a wonderful job on doing a presentation on marketing a Speechcraft for clubs. And I will provide you with her information a little bit later. With that, we're going to begin. And I'm going to share my screen. Where was it? There we go. Can everybody see that?
Not yet, Anne.
Yeah. Share. Where is it? Screen. Yay. All right. Terrific. Everybody can see the slides?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
All right. Fantastic. Here we go. All right. This is what we're going to be discussing tonight. I'm going to review this. It's like Sue said in the beginning. I'll cover the bundle purchase review. There's some important details you need to know about that. There's a section on that. We'll have a Q&A. Then I'll go over the details of planning and organizing, what it takes for a coordinator to do that. Q&A, responsibility and resources. And finally, there is a pre-recording of the Speechcraft portal access, and that is due to proprietary restrictions. So I will take you behind the scenes to let you know what you need to do on the Speechcraft portal. I'd like to begin by telling you there are 7 steps to a successful Speechcraft. You need to meet certain Speechcraft qualifications, purchase the bundle, you select the meeting schedule that fits your schedule, you advertise, you need to solicit volunteers. Volunteers are critical to the success of your program. You hold the sessions, and then you celebrate. It's all a lot of fun. I can tell you that. So here we're going to discuss what the Speechcraft digital bundle details are and the qualifications. To begin with, when you purchase the bundle, it's a purchase for 5 participants. And you'll receive an access code. And it's important that you save your order number. That is your access code. Put that away in a safe spot. You'll need it. You have to be a club in good standing to be the host for the Speechcraft program. And you can also finance the bundle. I will explain that a little bit later. The Toastmaster, who's going to be the coordinator, has to be in good standing, can purchase the bundle themselves. I'll explain how that works. Let you know up front, there's no refund for any slots that are not used. So if you purchase a bundle and you only have 4 participants, have a Toastmaster from your club join the session and they don't have to pay. Then there is 1 coordinator for every 5 participants. Maximum recommendation is 1 coordinator to 8 participants. But what you could do is divide the group into 2 groups of 4 and have a second Toastmaster be a coordinator. I'll explain how that'll work too. These are just ideas and introductory thoughts. This is what the Speechcraft digital bundle looks like. And this is what's all included. It's only $50. It gives you some marketing material. There's 2 videos. One is by Mike Carr, the 2020 World Champion speaker on vocal variety. It's an excellent video. Toastmasters has done an excellent job in putting this bundle together that introduces you to the digital bundle to start your work as a coordinator. What's important about when you purchase the bundle, and this is extremely important. Speechcraft is the intellectual property of Toastmasters. It used to be years ago, people used to use the Speechcraft materials and then conduct the sessions themselves. With it being digital and revamping in 2022, Toastmasters, you cannot purchase the bundle unless you are a Toastmaster. And when you purchase it, there is intellectual property behind the scenes on the portal that helps you to prepare to be the coordinator. And you can download that material to help you in your preparation, and you can recreate it for your own use, but you are not allowed to share it, retransmit it, and give it to somebody else. It is proprietary property, and you cannot do that. And I will go into details when I show you the portal, the type of information that's available and what you can download for yourself. But you are not allowed to reproduce that, and someone's running a Speechcraft and saying, you know, I'm thinking about it. Do you have information that you could share with me? No, they have to purchase the bundle to get the inside scoop. And then this is to emphasize that the Speechcraft has to be sponsored by the club. Sorry about that. Districts there are incentives out there in different districts that if a club holds and sponsors the Speechcraft program, the district will incentivize and reimburse the club for the $50. But that's fine. The district isn't sponsoring the Speechcraft program, and they're not coordinating it and running it. It's at the club level. That's what it was based on. Club sponsoring it and having it being run at the club level. Next, we call it tuition, and that's a great way to references. Eliminate the terminology of dues when it comes to Speechcraft. This will help you. This is a tip in marketing. Call it the tuition. How you pay for it, even if the Toastmaster buys the bundle, it is recommended that he or she submits the payment through the club treasurer to be reimbursed. It keeps the lines of the money open and clear, and there's no question as to how it was purchased, and that's what we want to do. We want to make sure that those watching know that it was done properly. Now, what happens is the participants pay the tuition plus any cost of material, and that's per protocol 8.2. Clubs can use it as a fundraiser. but any of the fundraising funds must be used for educational purposes within the club. You don't throw a party, you don't buy gifts with it for members. It has to be used for educational purposes within the club. The fees charged, Toastmasters is very generous with this. You can't charge more than 12 months of Toastmasters International fee, which currently is $120. So the bundle costs $50. You could charge, because it's $10 per person. You could charge them $35 person for it, charge them for 6 months dues, which now is $60. That's $90 plus materials. I've seen some districts, clubs in other districts charge $110, $115. But the thing is, you call it as a tuition. And that's your cost for putting it on. And I'll give you a clue as to how you can use that to your benefit a little bit. Next, I want to cover who can be a coordinator and why. Why would someone want to be a coordinator for Speechcraft? Well, I'll tell you right now, it's well worth your time investment. It's a lot of fun. You learn a lot. And you get to meet a lot of great people. Number one, you may not be thinking about your Distinguished Toastmaster Award right now, but it is a project that's required to achieve your Distinguished Toastmaster Award. I highly recommend that you be a Speechcraft Coordinator. Number two, while you're working as a Speechcraft Coordinator, it improves your communication and leadership skills because you're communicating with a large group of people, and with your volunteers and with the Speechcrafters themselves. That's what your participants are called, Speechcrafters. And so we improve by doing, do we not? Secondly, it's an awesome opportunity to share your knowledge about Toastmasters educational program and pay it forward. Number two, it looks awesome on a resume for the corporate world. And the best way to learn anything is to teach it. And I can tell you that from experience. But you know what? It's fun teaching others and sharing your knowledge with others. And that's what Speechcraft does for you. Another thing, it improves self-confidence because you have to step out of your comfort zone. Oh my God, you got to meet strangers and you got to teach them what you know. I've been in Toastmasters since 2015, and I still get anxious before a group of strangers. And by doing this, it helps you to become more comfortable within yourself, and it builds confidence and makes you a better Toastmaster. All right, now I'm going to stop sharing now. As I said, we're breaking this into small pieces because there is a lot to cover. So are there any questions at this point in time on what was covered so far about the purchase of the bundle and those things? Are there any questions in chat? Does anybody have any questions at this point?
I don't see any questions in the chat right up. Club in good standing is how many people? That's a question.
That's 20. Well, it is 20, but what you have to look at is you have to go to your dashboard and see 8 members for a club in good standing. Yes, but you also have to look and see what your base is. So some 8 is considered good, but if your base was 8 and you need to be at another level, that's what you have to look at. You have to look at your dashboard to see where you stand. 8 is in good standing, but depending on when you hold the Speechcraft session, within the Toastmasters year, you have to check that. What was the other question, Sue?
Next question we have is from Donna Young. How do we collect tuition from participant Speechcrafters? Okay,
well, what you want to do is, however the club accepts payment. It could be Venmo, it could be Zelle, it could be a check. That's how you would collect the tuition payment from the participants. Toastmasters in your club who may want to participate in the Speechcraft session, if you need them to fill out the agenda and the roles, they don't pay. They're already a Toastmaster. This is just, Speechcraft is for non-Toastmasters. And what
We have
it is,
Sorry.
it's a communication course, and it teaches them the basics of Toastmasters communication skills. Yes.
Sorry, thank you. And the next question from Donna is, can we purchase the Speechcraft first before we have all the students' tuition?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. As a matter of fact, it's recommended that you do that so that you can, and you'll see why, so that you can review everything and prepare yourself. Right.
Great. The next comment or question is, you mentioned having a Toastmaster sign up for the 5th spot. What would be the point for that?
If you want to fill out the participants and have all 5, that's someone who's experienced that could come in and help with the Speechcraft meetings and provide an evaluator and things like that.
And Chris mentioned as treasurer, she purchased a Speechcraft bundle last year, but have not activated it. Have not yet activated, so you can hold on to it. Next comment, question from Wayne. Can you include the one-time new member fee in the tuition? Great question.
Yes.
You want to put that in?
Yes, yes, definitely. And make sure you include the tax with it as well. Right.
And Ann Mellinson responded to one of the comments, a new Toastmaster would benefit from Speechcrafters. So that's a fabulous point.
Definitely, definitely. It would help them get started on their journey as far as pathways is concerned. And it would motivate them.
This is a great comment and question from Annalise. I've seen a club use Speechcraft to add members. How does the conversion of Speechcrafters go, or is it possible? How does it work? This is fabulous. I think, Ian, you're going to get to this a little later.
Yes.
Where their progress maps to pathways.
Right. All right.
Okay.
Well, I'm going. Is that it?
That's it for now. Yes. Thank you, Anne. I believe you may proceed.
Okay. We're going to move on to the next session. And that will be, can you see the slides?
Yes, we can.
We're going to go into planning. This is very detailed, the planning aspect of it. I want to give you a layout of the time and energy that's going to be invested. So if you're considering to hold a Speechcraft in the new year, when's the time to buy? Now. Because there are steps that you need to do before you even hold the Speechcraft. You need to garner support. This is a timeline of what's involved in it, because you need your executive committee to be on board with holding the Speechcraft. You need to purchase it. You need to understand the legal messaging behind everything and what you can and cannot do. You need to get into the portal and see what's there and learn. So this is a timeline, just to let you know, this is a 6 to 8 week timeline before you even hold your first session. And what's involved in that? You have to decide whether you want a 4-week, a 6-week, or an 8-week session. The 8-week session is what Speechcraft was designed for. However, you may have certain clientele like business executives that are trying to brush up on their public speaking skills and may only be able to do a 4-week session. You may have those for time commitment wise can only do a 6-week session. So you need to decide what session you're going to hold. And then you have to set a schedule for the workshop. Will it be every week, every 2 weeks? And so for an 8-week session, if it's held every 2 weeks, that could take it out if you start in February to the end of May, just to give you an idea of the time frame. How are you going to hold your sessions? Are they going to be in person? Are they going to be hybrid? Are they going to be held during club meetings? Or are you going to hold them outside the club meetings? Will it be 1 hour or a 2 hour session? Depends on how much you can cover. You have to establish the tuition cost. You have to decide that. And then you need to review all Speechcraft rules and regulations. And finally, you need time. This is so critical to review the Speechcraft materials and to explore the Speechcraft gateway and know what's behind there. There is so much learning you need to do as a coordinator in reading those materials on the Speechcraft gateway that you need to give yourself time to do that and to stop, interpret the material that you're reading, and come back to it. There is so much. So during this process, you're going to take a deep breath and go, oh my God, but take the deep breath and then come back, because the information available to you by Toastmasters International for this is phenomenal. It's the best program out there. The next step you need to do, how are you going to run your Speechcraft? You need volunteers if you're going to hold those sessions. Well, what do I need volunteers for? Well, the Speechcraft program is designed to have educational sessions, and I'll tell you where you get those materials. You need someone to present that. That could be your Toastmasters in your club. Initially, you need evaluators for your Speechcrafters. You need a table topics master, a general evaluator, and a timer. All the functions of a meeting. It runs similar to a Toastmasters meeting. It's a little bit different in that their speeches are shorter. The icebreakers are 2 to 3 minutes as opposed to 4 to 6. And their speeches are 3 to 5 as opposed to 5 to 7. But you need people to help them. And most important of all this, you need the Speechcraft guides for the Speechcrafters. Well, what are Speechcraft guides? They actually serve as mentors for the Speechcrafters. They help them write their speeches. They help them prepare, show them how to present. They give them positive feedback. They give them tips on how to present. So you need to do this. And you need to create a spreadsheet to track your volunteer schedule so that you know who's coming to what session and what are they doing. At this point, I'm going to stop sharing, and Sue Brooks is going to share a file that I created for my Speechcraft to track my volunteers. And the benefit for the volunteers, they get to share their knowledge. They get to be part of a Speechcraft program that will energize your membership base, because you will have people giving their first 4 or 5 speeches. And everybody likes to hear new people speak, icebreakers. It's the engagement and it's the motivation. Now, this is what I did initially for my orally. I sought my volunteers, and what I did, I created a role validation, which is an Excel spreadsheet, and it's a data validation sheet. And on one tab, I created all the roles, and if they were going to be a speaker, what topic they were going to select, and the sessions. That created a drop-down menu. If you go back to the Speechcraft sign up, volunteer sign up. And so and I gave them the link, I shared the link to this spreadsheet, they could just come in and sign up. And then they could pick whatever session they wanted to attend, 1 through 8. And then they could select what meeting role they wanted. That way I knew if I had my meeting roles filled for that session and if I had to go and get someone. And that's how that worked. And each session I did an 8-week session. So I followed the game plan. Each session has an educational presentation assigned to it. If you do the shorter sessions, you have to determine what educational sessions you find will be most valuable for your clientele to present to them. That will help them. And for there, we will stop for questions.
Anne, we
Yes.
have question from James. What is the benefit for your volunteers?
Well, number one, like I said, it gets your club involved. It gets your members involved. If you have them become part of a Speechcraft coordinator, they develop a relationship with the Speechcrafters. And you want to know how you turn Speechcrafters into members. Isn't Toastmasters about relationships? That's what you need to do.
There's a partial question. Donna wrote, if a new Toastmaster has paid dues, how? I don't see the rest of the question. Then Chris asked, will you be able to share the spreadsheet or the link to the Google file? I think you said it was proprietary, Anne?
Yes, it's proprietary. You can create a data validation in Excel.
Okay,
Yes, Joyce.
Okay.
Okay, so mine's not a question. It's just a comment where the person asks, what is the benefit for your volunteers? One benefit can be is that if you have someone who's a guide, which you explained is also a mentor, if that Speechcrafter joins the club, you could put down that person as a sponsor and they get credit for that person joining the club. So that might be a way to look at it as well too for your volunteers who are guides.
They could possibly use it for one of the mentoring projects in Pathways, because that's a 6-month mentoring project, and you could possibly use it for that. Not only that, if they are giving speeches at the session, if they give one of the educational speeches, they can use that for one of their Pathways projects and gain credit for it, because we have done that. As an evaluator, you can get credit for that by having someone evaluate your evaluation. So you can fulfill some of your own goals in Pathways by being a participant.
So there's a lot of benefits for volunteering. That's what you can get out of it. So I'm glad we had this discussion. Thank you.
There's another question. This one's from Donna. She fleshed out the rest of the question. If a new Toastmaster has paid dues, do we have them also pay Speechcraft tuition, or could it come from club dues? Or is that a non-valid use of club funds? I think you addressed it already, Ian, but please address Donna's question.
Donna, they don't have to pay. They are already a member. And as a matter of fact, I would encourage if you have an open slot, to encourage that new member to participate. They will get so much out of it. It will jumpstart their journey in Toastmasters, because they're going to be doing speeches every time there's a session. And they will complete up to 5 to 7 speeches if you do an 8 session, and they will complete level 1. So that is, and they can be the spokesperson for your club about how wonderful it is. That's how you turn Speechcrafters into members, is the relationships.
This is an interesting one. Marion was asking, you may get to this, but does their completion count toward the Speechcraft requirement for DTM, a current Toastmaster member? I believe you can answer that. I know what the answer is, but go ahead, Anne.
No, you need to be a coordinator. You need to be the coordinator, and to be able to get credit for it, because you need to be the person doing the work. A regular member cannot.
Annalise asked, do Speechcrafters get membership numbers?
No, they do not. What they get is they will get access to toastmastersinternational.org, as well as the Speechcraft portal site. They get access to both.
Okay.
It's when they become a member is when they would get a member ID. And how you turn them into members before you hold the Speechcraft, and I'll take a tip from Cheryl Rouse's marketing, is that you have a free seminar, and she goes into that. So you have to listen to her marketing. But what happens, part of that tuition fee at the end of it, you tell them that they've earned a free membership in your club. That's
And
where the 6 months dues comes in, and they can continue their progress in speaking for 6 months. They get a free membership. That's how you convert speech crafters to members.
Okay, we have another one. Can a paid speech crafter serve a role?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And Marion has her hand up and she
Mm.
wants to provide some clarity.
Yes, if I could really quickly, and you may get to this, Anne, but my understanding with the new guidelines for Speechcraft is in order to get the credit for it towards your DTM, at least one member of your 5 had to complete the actual Speechcraft, like going in and doing their logging and all of that. So my question was, if you're putting a new Toastmaster in one of those roles, do they also count towards that requirement?
No, because they're not a non-Toastmaster.
Okay, that's what I
Speechcrafter
thought. I
is,
just want to
right,
clarify.
Speechcraft program is meant for non-Toastmasters. That's why you want to fill the slots with non-Toastmasters. And speech crafters get credit for participating, and I get into that later. I'll get into all that later.
Okay. And then Chris clarified some clubs use Speechcraft as a way to promote Toastmasters and encourage them to join a club after the Speechcraft is done. So thank you for that, Chris. Okay, I think that's it for the questions for now, Anne.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. So then we're going to move on. Let me share my screen again. Where is that? There we go. Can everybody see the slides again?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
This is the marketing. Joe Rouse does Marketing a Club Speechcraft series. She just did one this past Saturday for District 5. It was phenomenal. Marketing a Club for a Speechcraft series. That's where you get the tips for how to market, how to turn the Speechcrafters into members. She goes through the whole thing. As a matter of fact, she joined Toastmasters because of the fact that she went to a communications seminar, it was called, I believe. That was 36 years ago, and she became a Toastmaster for participating in a Speechcraft program. Her next presentation, I don't have the link, but the next presentation that she is doing for marketing is on January 27th in District 26. And Sue is going to drop into the chat links to her video from the one that she did earlier in the month for District 23. It's an awesome video, and if you get a chance, you should watch it. You will learn a lot about marketing from her.
Anne, I don't seem to have the link to Cheryl's video.
Oh, okay, maybe I'm the
I-
one that has to do that. All right, I'll do that.
I'm sorry, I did load her checklists.
Okay. All right, I'll have to load the link when I'm done here.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Sue. Oh, there was the additional questions. And now we're going into gathering resources. This is really the big part too. We have tons of resources for you, some from myself and some from my friend, Fred Formbach in District 13. He's put together a best practice document and a Speechcraft event preparation checklist. And then I have a links document that provides you of all the pertinent links that you need to get your materials from Toastmasters.org, as well as the portal. And those documents will be downloaded into the chat by Sue.
Just uploaded them for everybody's use.
Thank you. This is the beauty of Speechcraft. You're saying, where do I get my educational materials from? It's from the Better Speakers series, and it is free. And it's on the Toastmasters store. You download this, And Speechcraft is aligned to each of these topics, beginning your speech, concluding your speech. This is the beginning program for communication in Toastmasters. It's a powerful program. It's from the Better Speaker series. And you download that. And what you do, for your educational presenters, what I did for mine was in the portal, you will get an outline for the educational topic to be discussed at, and it's aligned to a session. You come to the Better Speaker series and you get the booklet, because it's actually a training booklet, and it tells you how to put together a presentation. And I give that to the person who's going to do the educational presentation. And then I did additional research on the topics for tips and things like that, magazine articles, whatever. And I shared that with the person who was going to do the presentation so that they could put their presentation together. I provided them the resources, and any good presenter can take that information and develop a presentation for the speech crafter to tell them how to begin to write their speech, or how the tips for concluding. So this is where the educational material comes from, and it's important that you download that. And it's even good if we do it for our clubs every now and then, especially when we have new members as well. It's an educational series, so it's important. So it is free. This is how you get it on, that's how you got it on the Toastmasters.org site. For those of us in District 38, we floated the resources on our District 38 webpage as well. Under resources, club officers, schools, and member resources. And then you page down, and we have all the modules, the module series, the Successful Club series, Better Speaker series, and the Leadership. Well, here is the Better Speaker series, and it tells you all the items, and you can download it here. So you have two options. You go to District 38, or you can go to Toastmasters International to do that. And that is important to have, because that is where your education series comes from, and you need to help prepare your guides on what they need to do. Organizing your Speechcraft files. When I show you the Speechcraft portal, you're going to see that there are certain information that you're going to need to run the Speechcraft. We can't always depend on the internet to be there for us at times. So I downloaded materials, and I created my own presentations from the material out there in the portal. And what I did was I set up my folders, and that's what I'm talking about in this next presentation, is the organization to help you run a smooth session so you know where to get your materials. I created a folder called My Speechcraft Project. And then within that, you see over here, there are materials, and they are different materials for each session. So that I didn't confuse what materials I needed for what session, I created subfolders for each session. There's a different educational presentation. There is an agenda for each one, and each agenda is a little bit different than the other. And then for the Speechcraft Coordinator instructions that I downloaded from the site for myself, the guides instructions that I created, and most importantly, I had a folder for Speechcraft session resources so that I had my material stored right in, and it was easily accessible to me. That's part of the organization that I go through. And it helped to keep everything together for me. And I'm going to stop at that point, and we're going to see if there's any questions on the planning, on the first part, which is gathering your resources and organizing. Any questions?
You've rendered this Toastmasters speechless.
Terrific. Well, I cover that because not everybody needs it, but you just never know. So I go into detail about that. The next part of the planning, we're going to go into the Speechcraft portal. And let me move this. And this is where you're going to get the insider view of the Gateway portal. Now this worked earlier, so let's just hold on here. There we go. Can you see it?
Not yet. And one question just came in from Annalise. How long per hour is a session most probably? I think
I did mine for 2 hours. I'm going to share again. I did mine for 2 hours is how I did mine. You get the most benefit out of that, but if you're going to do it within a club, you only have an hour session. You have to determine, are you going to extend your meeting or do it within the 1 hour? And therefore, not as many speech crafters will get an opportunity to speak, because we know in the 1 hour, the most we can do is 3 speeches. So you have to do some finagling with that. The educational presentation, you could shorten that, but it's important to do some type of educational presentation to. The idea of the way Speechcraft is built is you give a lesson, you teach the lesson. So in the first meeting, you talk about crafting a speech. In the second session, they do their icebreakers, and they're evaluated by your members. And then it's up to you to determine whether you're going to allow the speech crafters to, if you think they're ready to evaluate one another, starting with session 2 or session 3. If you're running a shorter session, keep in mind, if you're only doing a 4 session, then you may want to jumpstart that and have them start evaluating right off. Again, you have to know who your clientele is, who's it for, what's their comfortable level. And so that's the determination that you have to make as the coordinator. It's not a one size fits all. And as Fred likes to say, that's the beauty of Toastmasters. Its programs are built flexible enough so that you can look at your clients and see what will work best for them. Just as long as you follow the process, there's no right or wrong, just as long as there's a benefit out of it and that they get their speeches in. And if you have more time, that's when you bring in the table topics. Again, you have to see what the benefits are for your time frame and for your group of speech crafters. That's what's important. Any other questions on that?
I don't see any in the chat right now, Ian.
All right, so I'm going to reshare my screen and hopefully let me know if you can see the slide with the video.
We can see the slide.
And
The
if it
video-
doesn't work, Sue, I'm just going to have you play it.
Okay,
Oh, here it is.
okay, you give it a shot first, though.
Speechcraft Coordinator that you
There
can you
we
see
go.
it? Because
Yes,
you're
we can.
responsible for supplying your Speechcraft guides, the educational presenters, as well as the table topics. Because oh darn it, I messed it up. Here we go. That you have that material because you're
Are
responsible.
you sharing
for
sound as
supplying
well?
Your Speechcraft guide.
We can hear
Sue,
the
why
sound,
don't you
it's just
play it?
low.
Sue, you want to play it?
Sure.
Let's try that.
Let me give it a shot. Hopefully you'll be able to hear my sound as well. Let me give it a try.
You might have to put your sound up higher. And it was tested and it worked before.
Okay.
The educational presenters, as well as the table topics, because the table topics is a little bit different. But before you log in, you do have an opportunity to see what the Speechcraft is about. There are overview information that you can get without buying the bundle. I suggest you listen to this very important video that tells you about the Speechcraft experience and explains the portal and how it works. That's very important. Up here, if you click the overview, it will take you to overview. And it explains the overview. And For quick synopsis of Speechcraft content, here you go. It's going to take you to Toastmaster Speechcraft content. What I showed you, you can download from Toastmasters website, all at one shot from that resource page. Get all your information from resource so you're not spending extra time downloading material. Here's the coordinator. Again, this will take you to the Toastmasters website to buy it. The coordinator quick start guide and the participant quick start guide. I already told you to get that information from the store, so you're ahead of the game. This is an important webinar that you would have to watch. It's about 61 minutes long. But when you click on that, you have to register. You have to register and since I've already done it and I'm in my Speechcraft, it shows you when the date and time that I registered to watch that webinar. And therefore you would have to fill this form out to be able to watch that webinar. Oops. Did I lose my space? Toastmasters International. Okay, there we go. Then it tells you who would be interested in attending. And this is important to know, and this is going to help you decide how many sessions you're going to have. Let's suppose you want to do a Speechcraft webinar for your corporate executives, separate from your club. They don't have the time for an 8-week course. You will more likely do a 4-session course, a 4-week course. And you could work with them on picking out the topics that you want to cover. And then you would concentrate on the 4 most important topics with them. So this is going to determine your session. If it's someone that wants to become a Toastmaster or wants even more knowledge, then your 8 sessions going to be more the type of session that you would hold. But if it's someone that just wants an introduction to public speaking, you could hold the 4 session. Now I'm going to go back up here and I'm going to log in because I want to share with you so you may have to move the video along just a tad so they don't have to wait for the login.
Oh.
Let's give it a minute to sign in. Yeah. Just drag it slow at times, I will tell you that. See, it's going to let me sign in. Let me pause my recording till it signs in. Ah, there we go. Here we go. All right. So the first time you log in, you could go to the coordinator guide, or you can go to create an event. Let's say I did click on the coordinator guide. Come on. I don't know why that came up. Okay, so it's going to take you to coordinator guide, and it's going to give you the coordinator overview. And then it's going to outline for you how to quick start your preparation before the event is created, things I have gone over. And this is stuff you should have covered before you even come in to create your event. And I've covered that already. So we're going to go to create a new event. And this is real important. You must decide what you're going to name your event. Because once you name it, you cannot change the name of the event. You can change the beginning date if you do it 1 to 2 weeks before, and you can change the end date. You can extend it if you do it 1 to 2 weeks before the end date. But once you name your event, that's the one thing you can't change. So be careful of your spelling and everything else, that it's spelled correctly. I tend to have a capital letter in the middle of mine. I'll show you what I mean. You don't need to put the club's URL if they have a free toast post or whatever. You don't need to know that. But this is why I want to emphasize that when you make the purchase, save that bundle order number. That is really important. You cannot activate your Speechcraft workshop without that bundle order number. So once you get confirmation and they give you a bundle order number, save that in a safe spot. Create yourself a Speechcraft portal or a Speechcraft folder on your computer and save it there, because you can't access the portal without it. And then they will ask you to verify your coordinator information here. And then you have to enter in the event details. See here, event name. It's really important that you name it what you want to call it. Mine was the Orally Speechcraft. Name it for your company if you want, or if it's for a special event. Speechcraft interviews, or interviews, Speechcraft for interviews or whatever. You don't have to pick your date at this time. But if you are, you would click on this and provide the date and the time zone. But to get started, you don't have to pick your date yet, but you have to name it to be able, and you have to agree to the terms and condition. And once you hit that and submit it, then it will take you to your event page. And this is what I'm telling you about spelling. You see how my Speechcraft is? It's all in caps except for the S. You want to make sure. Then you will have to add your participants. And once this comes up, you'll see where you can add. Since I've already started mine and I have the participants, I really can't show you. This would be empty. It would tell you to add the person. You have to add them by name and email address. All right, and they will be added. You have to make sure they register for the event, because they will receive an email notice saying that they've been added. And they have to click on that link and register for the event to become a participant. And this will let you know if they've been registered or not. So there's some follow-up in the beginning as well. Then once you set that all up, it'll say, go to my Speechcraft Learning. And it's going to take to your Speechcraft portal in Basecamp. And it's going to look quite similar to what Pathways is. What I did was I've always clicked on the learning. You want a shortcut. When you click learning, what is here, these tabs are also in the learning tab. It says introduction, start here. That is for the coordinators to start here. And it's going to take you to a video of the Speechcraft Coordinator. And it's going to take you to a video. The important thing to know is they're all slides or it's a video. This is a slide. It says start project, and you'll go through each of these. And if you click on this, it'll jump you to the introduction. What's important to know is every time you view a slide, there are resources over here in the upper right-hand corner. Do you see that? Download those resources and save them to your Speechcraft folder. You will need them for a reference later. You will find that helpful. I'm going to end this, and to exit out of the tabs that you are in each of the Speechcraft portals is you just do that and it'll bring you back. It's going to bring you back to your past and learning page, similar to the Basecamp portal. This is for you, how to get started. Open the curriculum. This is your Speechcraft Coordinator's introduction and your Speechcraft Coordinator planning. You need to launch that. You have some learning to do before you even conduct the Speechcraft. That's why I said you need 3 to 4 weeks before you do your Speechcraft so that you can learn what you need to do to conduct the Speechcraft. It's the same thing as your Basecamp Path and Learning page. If you open up in Basecamp and Pathways, if you open up all the resources, when you go to the resource page for the evaluation forms and you come to your Path and Learning, you'll see it here with all your projects. Don't worry about having to mark it complete or not. It's just showing that you had activated it and if you want to mark it complete. So that's how to get started. Then for each session, you have a guide as to what to present at that session. They guide you. And you launch that. And that is another slide presentation. And I'll hit restart. And again, Coordinator's Guide, Session 1, choose a topic. That's what your objective is. Choose a topic. Teaching them how to choose a topic to write a speech. Talks about your first session, and these are the 3 objectives. It walks you through the steps. You want to introduce the Speechcraft program. You want to develop speech topic selection skills and impromptu speaking. That's where table topics is introduced. And on this slide, on these here, it shows you and it tells you what you need to do with the table topics. Again, I'm not going through that, but here's your resources for session 1. As you see, they have a session 1 8 agenda, a session 1 6 agenda, and a session 1 agenda for 4 sessions. It gives you an outline and it's easy to follow. I recommend downloading all of them. They even have a blank template. This Speechcraft self-assessment before, what is that? Before the Speechcrafters can begin, they have a self-assessment that they need to do, and they do it online. What they're advising you to do here is to download it and print it as a PDF and be able to share it with the Speechcrafters in case someone has problem technically with accessing it on the Speechcraft portal. So that's the before. Now, remember I talked about educational presentations. Well, here's the outline for that presentation. As you see in session 1, there are 2. In each session, they will give you an outline for the educational presentation that needs to be given. Select a speech topic presentation outline and the value of improving public speaking. You give that to your 2 educational presenters. It gives them a guideline as to what Toastmasters is looking for the presenter to provide the Speechcrafters, what information. And then you go to the Better Speaker series and see what type of information they offer you for that. And then you formulate your presentation based on your research of the resources. And that's how any good presenter puts together the material for a presentation. And that's how it is done, because in Toastmasters, what is this? Let me go this. Better Speak Universal. Okay, so let me move this. So and you would have to go through each of these. I recommend in the beginning, if you have the time, download all 8 sessions. Take the time to go through the sessions and know what you need to know. If you don't, at least download the first 3 to begin with, go through those lessons and learn what you need to know, and then work ahead until you have all of them. You need to be prepared for each session ahead of you. And then you have videos as a Speechcraft. Getting started on Basecamp as a Speechcraft Coordinator, it walks you through the step on how to work the Basecamp here in Speechcraft. And it gives you an overview. is a video. You have written information, and then you have a video that explains everything. So far, so good, because that is a lot of information. Now, similar to Pathways as the Basecamp manager, you will notice this is the same setup. You have a view teams here. If you go to the Paths and Learning and Pathways Basecamp, it brings you to this page. When you hit view teams, it lets you see the same as in Pathways when you can see each member. You can click on each person and see if they've done the work that they're supposed to. The same as Pathways. It only shows what's active. Since my Speechcraft work sessions have been completed in May, to show you what I'm talking about, I have to go to the completed drop-down menu. And you want to click on coordinator tracking. Now this will tell you completed. If they didn't do their self-assessment, it will tell you that it needs to be activated, just like in Pathways. If they opened it and viewed it, this will say launch and this will say in progress. The coordinator tracking, that's where you want to go. And then it'll say speech tracking, and you want to view details. And this will tell you whether or not they've come into their own Basecamp and did the necessary steps to mark that they've completed a speech project. It's a little bit different than in Pathways. Sometimes you don't know whether a member completed it or not because they may have done a speech at another club or something like that. But in this case, they're going to do their speeches in your Speechcraft sessions, so you will know. And you want to make sure that you tell them that after they give their speech, they must come into their Basecamp portal and mark the project complete. You need to come here and verify that they did that. And once you do that, log out of the Basecamp portal, just like you would in Pathways, on this cogwheel or the setting symbol, and hit log out. It's not going to log you out of the portal. It's just going to log you out of Basecamp for that. And I may have gone an extra step that I didn't have to. You may have been able to go back to learning. I'm not sure. But this is the one important step as the Speechcrafter coordinator you must do. You must validate their speeches were completed, because that is the way Toastmasters International is going to know that they've completed their projects. And this is the screen you're going to get. Just put in the date of your meeting and the completion time. And then what you need to do is to search an existing training. And then you'll get this pop-up over here on the right. Let's say they did their icebreaker. All you have to do is type in icebreaker. You have to type in the topic that was covered for their speech. And you see, you get an automatic pop-up and you hit material. Then the screen changes. And it says Speechcraft icebreaker and the date's there. But now you have to add the attendees. So you have to hit next. And they're going to tell you to add the attendees. And you add the attendees there. And everyone, all 5 of your Speechcrafters will show up. And you just hit select. I think there's a select all, but I don't see it. Right. There might be a select all. All right. And then what you would do, you would hit save. And once you hit save, the new screen's going to show you this. and you can do a bulk record. If you select all, you can do a bulk record, and it will record everyone as having completed that. The next screen will come up and you will have to mark that they completed it. So if you hit bulk score, then the next screen will come up. And then you mark record. If I deselect all, and let's say I just select the first one and I hit record, this is the result. This is what you're going to have to mark. And I don't score, I just say that they completed. So that's the screen you would see. It's real important that you validate each speech that they completed. Otherwise, they will not get credit from Toastmasters organization when they go to join another club. That's the way TI knows that they completed it. And down at the, all right, so that's that. Let's go back to learning. Session 8 overview. All right, we're going to have to go back to home. Your dashboard. I showed how you can check individually if they've done their homework or the lessons. What I was concerned about in the beginning is the Speechcraft assessment. And I could tell whether they did their before assessment before we met. It's important that they complete the before assessment before your first meeting. It's only something they receive and you as the coordinator receive. And it's basically a survey asking them how they feel about their ability with public speaking. Then at your midway point of your session, they are to do another self-assessment. And this one, naturally, is supposed to say that they've improved. It reminds me of the self-assessments that we do in Pathways, before and after each of our projects. And we have to do the after, so that Pathways, so that Basecamp knows the project is done and we get a check mark. In this case, they don't have to do the after assessment to get the check mark. Because as you will see here, if I refresh the after assessment, I think there's one or two that didn't do the after assessment and their projects are marked complete. And it's the same thing as the dashboard in Pathways. It's the same thing. Yes, I only had one in this group that did the after assessment. The others didn't do it. Even though they were told several times, reminded several times. All right. And then this tells you how far they're doing on their learning and progress. And this tells you their speech completion. This tells you that they mark their speeches completed in their Basecamp portal. And it tells you the projects that they completed. And that's what's important. That they completed all their speeches. You know. Okay. So we're going to go out of that and go home. There's something else I want to show you. All your session resources are here in one place too. If you don't want to, you can open your sessions here as well. If in the beginning you just want to download everything at once, it gives you all the resources here, all in one slot as well. And as you can see, the agendas are posted there. They give you multiple places in which to retrieve the information. Decide where you want to get it from and continue with that method, because otherwise it can get confusing. There's one other thing I want to show you, and it is in this, when you do the speech validation, I want to go to the learning, I want to go in here. I haven't gone in here yet, so that's why I want to show you. Again, all the sessions are here in the overview. I want to go to View Teams. Again, once you've completed your Speechcraft session, workshop, every member who participated, every participant receives a certificate for participating in the Speechcraft workshop. That doesn't mean that they had to complete every project. If they attended a workshop and completed 2, 3 speeches, even if they only completed 1, they get a certificate saying they were a Speechcraft participant. Speechcraft learning. And I want to go to complete it. Again, we're in the person's individual Basecamp portal. All the way down at the bottom. This is when you don't go to the coordinator tracking. You remain in the individual Speechcraft portal, as you can see. They're learning, pass and learning page type of thing. And all the way down at the bottom, it'll say activate Speechcraft certificate. You activate it and you launch it. And then the Speechcrafter can get their certificate. They can download it themselves because it had been activated, and you activated it and you told Toastmasters International, they complete it. And all it says, it gives the person's name, recognition, became a certified Speechcrafter. Doesn't mean they completed everything. The other thing you can do with this is you can download it and do a presentation meeting with them and present them with their certificates to make it fun for them. So now we're going back to home. And I'm going to log out of their portal. And it's going to bring me back to my home page. And there's a frequently asked questions page here as well. I'm going to sign out of the portal. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And so that completes the webinar on Speechcraft, on how to conduct a Speechcraft, the responsibilities of a Speechcraft coordinator. And so that you know, there's a lot involved on your part as a coordinator, but it is a fulfilling role to do. Have a good night, everyone.
And I've stopped sharing my screen. Back to you.
Thank you so much. As you can see, it may be tedious to listen to at some points, but it is heavily involved with learning materials. You need to take it slowly, take a deep breath, go retrieve the information, review it, and come back to it. And I encourage you to start now. And why is that? Because we have Talk Up Toastmasters and Beat the Clock coming up in the new year. You want to start planning now. You want to start teaching yourself what you need to know. Chris, activate your code. Go into the portal and learn all you need to know and start planning now. And attend Cheryl Rouse's Marketing the Speechcraft. And I'm going to put in the link to her video so I don't forget that. And that is really important. So you need to start now so that come January or February, you can kick it off. And I challenge each of you to hold a Speechcraft in the new year. And I want to hear from you how successful it was for you, because mine was successful. Did they become members? No, but they had a specific goal in mind themselves. It was a separate organization that came to the district and wanted their speakers, their volunteers to be able to present on behalf of the nonprofit organization. That is what their goal was. And that's why it's important to know who your clients are and what are they interested in. Any questions? How long does it take to learn? 6 to 8 weeks.
I
It
have a
takes time.
I have a question. It's
Yes.
not quite related to the material tonight, but I helped with a speech crafter last year, and they give you agendas to fill in your own information. I had a lot of trouble, and I'm not very much for Excel, but when I went to use the sheet that they pre-programmed to go print it off, a lot of times it would not transfer the information over for me to print it out, and I had a lot of trouble. Is there a resource?
Really? It's a PDF. Do you have problems printing a PDF? Because everything's in a PDF format.
Well, I'm talking about the agenda, and you have to refine it to meet your own situation. You have to put your own members in and stuff. And when I did that, there would sometimes the lines would come out. It would delete lines when I go to print it. I don't know if it's my machine or I had trouble correcting it. Is there a resource I can use to?
What it is it's like the Toastmasters agenda templates. They need to be tinkered with. Like on the right-hand margin, when you put person's name, you know, it'll go to the next line. So there is some minor adjustment that needs to be done in that. Well, but I guess yours was in person then, correct? If you printed the agenda.
It was in person, and it would say one thing on the PDF that I was going to use, and then when I go to print it out, it would delete a line or the wording was off, and I'm not.
You know what, Jeff? I'll reach out to you, and we'll have a one-on-one session. I'll see what you're talking about, and I'll try to help you with that. How's that?
It sounds good.
All
Ann,
right, so
excuse me, just want to let you know, you sent me the Cheryl Roush video link. You meant to send it to everybody, correct?
yep, and I reposted it.
Okay, here we go.
Okay. Yep.
All right, so now.
Right, Jeff. So I'll send you an email to connect with you offline together, and I'll see what's going on so I can help you. Does
Ann?
anybody have any questions at this point on anything that was covered?
Janelle had a question about how long does it take to learn about how to market the event?
The facilitator. Oh, yeah.
It's about a 1 hour, it's a 1 hour presentation that Cheryl does. Her presentation is not very long. And she keeps you moving. She keeps you moving with her high energy impact. And it's a phenomenal presentation. Be prepared to take notes again. Oh, it's 1.5. Okay, 1.5. All right, it can be. So, yes, Janelle, did I say your name right?
Yes, thank you.
What's your question?
You all just read them. I just reacted with the clapping emoji. Thank you.
Oh, all right. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Well, I hope you all learned something very valuable.
Can I ask
I-
a question?
Go ahead.
This is Karina Verdugo.
Yes.
Hi, so my question is, we were talking about maybe holding one, and we're just not really sure about the formatting. And do you guys recommend doing every other week, and that way you still have a normal meeting, and then you alternate that with the Speechcraft, or would you do it every week at your same membership time? We're just really not sure about formatting, and if you can still hold a regular meeting, or this is taking up a whole at least 1 hour. Is that right?
Yes. Yes. I have not experienced it doing it at the club. Mine was outside the club. Has anybody here delivered a Speechcraft within a club meeting? I know Cheryl did attend some at a club meeting, and you're right, the focus is going to be on this particular group for a certain amount of time. But then the benefits that you reap afterwards, they become members, they have their educational credits, which help club. And you invigorate and motivate your members because there's new energy in the club. You know, when that new person comes in, well, now you got 5 and everybody's working with them and it energizes the club. Mine were every 2 weeks. And that way it gave the Speechcraft guides time in between if they needed to speak with their speech crafters to give them advice. It also gives you a break in not having to prepare every week. It gives you like that breather, that step back. But it'll take you longer to get through it. If you do it every week, then you're through it quicker. Because think about it, if you're going to do an 8-week session, if you do it every other week, I started mine February 13th and I didn't end to May 22nd. But if I did it every week, I probably would have finished up in probably the end of March. So you have to work out what's best for your club. You could try it every week to see if it's working. You know, that's that's what's wonderful, because Speechcraft is a practice place too for the speech crafters. We're all in a safe environment. You can't do anything wrong in Toastmasters. There's no mistakes in Toastmasters. It's a practice environment. It's a safe environment where we hone our skills and we learn. And we learn how to improve how we present ourselves. What we say is not a mistake, or how we say it, or our lack of gestures. They're not mistakes. We're just becoming more aware of what we need to do to be more effective presenters. And it's the same thing with Speechcrafts. It's a communication skills workshop for them. And your members can learn from it as well. And they can take the roles of the Toastmaster, of the education presenter, be an evaluator, be the timer. And then your guides, in the meeting, there is time for the guides to meet with the speech crafters to discuss next steps for the next meeting. So there's that opportunity within the meeting if it's longer. If not, they can set up time afterwards. Or you can discuss it as a group at the end of the meeting. See, it's flexible. You know, when you get the materials from the portal, it's going to tell you to do those sessions within the meeting. Allow 15 minutes for the guides to meet with the speech crafters and discuss and put them in breakout rooms because it's virtual. It's flexible. You don't have that time if you're only having an hour meeting. So at the end of the meeting, the facilitator can have the guides give them 2 minutes each to speak to their speech crafters and tell them what's expected. And you can just make a general statement or a general statement at the end that this is what's expected for the next meeting. You're expected to go in because they have to learn the same materials that the coordinator does. They have to go into each session and learn the material, just like you do in Pathways. They have a PDF manual as well. And they need to be encouraged that read the material before you do the speech.
And we have another question from Annalise asking to clarify how the price can also provide 6 months of free membership. Perhaps using the $120 USD as the price. That is actually the full maximum that we can charge. But can you explain what we talked about earlier so Annalise can understand a little better how we can provide the fee structure and the 6 months membership that's included in what we charge them up front? Definitely.
So new membership due is new membership dues are $60, or membership dues are $60. There's $20 for a new member fee to cover the first path. So that's $80. Then you charge, it's $10. You can charge the minimum, or you can up that fee to $20. Now you're at $100. If the club has dues, you can incorporate that fee. So let's say a club has $12 in membership dues each membership period. So now you have the 60 and the 20 is 80. 12 is 92. And the bundle's 10, you can up that up. So you're at 102, you can make it 110. You've now covered 6 months of dues because you've incorporated that. And you tell them the beauty of that is they also get a free path. They not only get a free membership, but they're going to get a free path that they're going to be able to transfer their credits from working the speeches in Speechcraft to their path. And it will bring them in at level 1. Now, the thing about that is it is the vice president education of the club, once they join, that has to contact Toastmasters and give them the information, so that because it's Toastmasters, that will give them credit in base camp for credit. They're the ones that transfer it over because, and you only have 90 days after you end your session to retrieve all materials from there. So it's important that if you need to extend your time, you can do that. If you put in a start date, you can extend your start date as long as you do it up to 2 weeks before. I wouldn't do it no more than that. You can extend your end date if you need to, for as much as you need it. But don't be extreme with it, because it's from the time that you end your Speechcraft session. It is 90 days from that last date that you say is your end date. But the Speechcrafters and the coordinator can get the information off the site. The guides have no access to the site. They are dependent upon the coordinator to give them materials. But since it's set up similar to the Pathways Basecamp portal, the guides can help the Speechcrafters maneuver the site. They just don't have access to it. So you have 90 days, and that's why it's important to download those certificates and make sure they get them and that you validate the speeches. Yes, Sue.
Yes, it looks like we have time for one more question because we're about time to go. Is there any one last question before we conclude at our stop time at 8 o'clock? Okay, back to you to conclude, Anne.
All right. So go out and shake up the Toastmasters world in 2024. We should have our members' numbers going up if you hold a Speechcraft program. You will increase your membership. But everybody wants to know, well, it doesn't work. Well, have you developed a relationship with the Speechcrafters and participants? That's the key to increasing your membership. You need to develop that rapport and a sincere interest in those Speechcrafters. Remember, what's in it for them, not what's in it for you. Yes, you'll get your DTM, but if you don't deliver to them what's in it for them, they're not going to be interested. I hope I delivered what's in it for you tonight, that you learned so much and that you walk away with the knowledge of what you need to do and just soak in all the knowledge. And you got tons of handout tonight. Just take a breath and take your time to go through it. And if you have any questions, you have my email. Step by step. When you began Toastmasters, we began small, right? Took us a couple months to do our icebreaker. Well, we don't have a couple months here, so step by step. Wayne, I see you like rubbing your head. It's not overwhelming. Just take it in small bite sizes and it will be okay. It will be okay. And it's fun. Have fun with it, because when you're smiling and having fun, the whole world smiles with you. Well, it's the same thing in Toastmasters. When you're smiling and having fun, you attract people to you and you attract members. And I hope to hear back from you. Please let me know if you're having a Speechcraft and how well it is. All right? And if there's no more questions, it is 8:02 and I respect your time. And so if you have any questions, I'll be happy to stay on. But if not, I wish you success in the new 2024 second half of our year. I'm looking for you to increase your numbers, because Toastmasters is wonderful and we need more of them.
Thank you, Anne. You can stop the recording, ma'am.
Thank you.